Welcome to Football with Cheese. So in this video, we finish our series of the 5 biggest moves for every team. We've done 31 of the 32 teams so far. In today's video, we finish it out with the Cleveland Browns. I have a few ideas of some videos I can do over the next month because training camp's about a month away. But I need some more ideas, so let me know in the comments if there's any videos you would like to see. I do cover all 32 teams on this channel, so I could do team-specific, division-specific, pretty much anything. So just let me know. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell for notifications you never miss one of my videos. Okay, Browns fans, this is how the video works. I'm going to give you the 5 biggest moves that the Browns made in the offseason in no particular order. It could be anything. It could be a free agent signing, draft pick, trade, coaching change. You get the point. Then it's your job in the comments down below. Let me know which of these moves will impact the Cleveland Browns season the most. Got it? All right. Let's get into it. Number 1. They hired Todd Monken to be their new head coach, replacing Kevin Stefanski. It's probably the least sexy hire of all the new coaching changes in the NFL. But here's the thing. The Browns don't have the franchise quarterback on the roster, at least in my opinion. You can let me know in the comments if you disagree. And Andrew Berry's been there for a while. You know, he could be on the hot seat, so you might have to answer to a new GM. So I think a lot of coaches didn't want this job. But here's the good thing about Monken. He's a very good offensive mind. He's got a lot of experience as an offensive coordinator in college and in the NFL. His last 2 jobs were at the University of Georgia, helped them win national titles, and the Baltimore Ravens the last few years. He is 60 years old, but once again, he's a great offensive mind, a great offensive coordinator, and the Cleveland Browns need to improve their offense. So while this isn't a sexy hire, it makes a lot of sense. And I did not know this. He was actually the offensive coordinator for the Browns in 2019. So there is a connection there. They know him well. Number 2, the offensive line turnover. They drafted Spencer Fano from Utah in the first round, Austin Barber from Florida in the 3rd round. We'll talk about both of them in a second when I talk about the draft. They traded for Titus Howard from the Texans. He's going to be the right tackle. They signed Zion Johnson to play guard. They re-signed Tevin Jenkins to play the other guard spot. They signed Elton Jenkins, no relation, to be the starting center. So we knew they had to add a lot of offensive linemen in free agency because 4 of the 5 starters were free agents. And the only starter coming back was DeJuan Jones at left tackle. And yeah, he's not that good. And even though it's still not going to be a very good offensive line, these guys have never played together, and some of them are past their prime, it's at least serviceable. You cannot go into a season with an offensive line that can't block anything. You can't just put a bunch of young guys out there and expect to compete in these games. So I totally get why they did this, but they did draft 3 offensive linemen, and we'll talk about that, well, right now. Number 3, they got better in the draft. So the roster is more talented, especially on offense, than it was last year. Once again, Spencer Fano, 9th overall from Utah. They're going to play him at left tackle. He mostly played right tackle at Utah. I believe his best position actually could be center, and he has 5 position versatility. So if he doesn't work out at left tackle, they can pretty much move him anywhere. So I really like that pick. We had him 13th on the board, so pretty close to the range where they drafted him at 9. And then Austin Barber, who I just mentioned from Florida, he was the left tackle there. That was really good value. He just really struggled against Ruben Bain. That was in week 1, I believe, of the college season. But then again, who did not struggle against Ruben Bain? But here's the thing with Barber. He got healthy about midway through the year, and he finished really strong. So at the end of the year, he was playing like a late 1st, early 2nd round pick. So that was really good value as well. And we got to mention the receivers. Casey Concepcion, 24th overall. He is undersized, but he's a great route runner and maybe the best separator of any wide receiver in this class. But a lot of undersized receivers that bust in the NFL are not great route runners and they don't separate enough. That will not be an issue for Concepcion. The only big issue is the concentration drops. So he's just got to fix that. And I could see Monken using him like he did Zay Flowers in Baltimore. Very similar style of wide receivers. Both went in the 20s in their draft. And then got to mention Denzel Boston. 39th overall in round 2. I think we had him 19th on the board. You know, he's not the Drake London, Terry McMillan type level of prospect. but he should have gone the first round, especially this year when it was one of the weaker first rounds in recent memory. 39th overall, what a steal, and he's a very different style receiver from Concepcion. You know, he'll play more the X receiver. Concepcion can either play the Z, but probably more in the slot. So those are two really good values, and wide receiver is probably their biggest need going into the draft. They also got Emmanuel Warren, late second round. Most draft analysts had him in the top 32. Dalen Jeremiah had him like 20th, I think, in the board. I just don't know how he fell that far. Maybe because he played in the MAC, the level of competition. So the Browns, to me, had the best draft of anybody. If I were to rank 1 through 32 drafts, I would put them at number 1. Jaguars, dead last. Anyway. But I also like Parker Bracefeld in the 5th round. He was a very productive center at Alabama, but he was undersized. I think that's the only reason he fell. So the Browns may have found 3 future starting offensive linemen in this draft. So Andrew Berry did really well the last 2 years drafting. And let's talk about him. Number 4, they decided to keep Andrew Berry. He has not done well as a GM. There is a rumor that the Deshaun Watson trade was forced on him, that it was Jimmy Haslam's call. He was never a good fit for the Browns. He was a terrible fit for Kevin Stefanski's offense. That's probably one of the reasons why Kevin Stefanski instantly got another job with Atlanta, because they're like, he didn't have a good quarterback at all. It's really not his fault. But Andrew Berry is very analytically driven. He's a Harvard graduate, almost too analytically driven in my opinion. But to me, he's getting better. He got off to a terrible start. He had some drafts where you just look at him, every pick was bad. But the last 2 years have been much better. Got Mason Graham, got Carson Schlesinger, Harold Fenton Jr. last year, and this year we just talked about how much I like the draft. And I probably would have moved on from Andrew Berry already, but it might work out that they kept him because, once again, he's done much better the last 2 years in the draft. Number 5, we have to talk about it. They traded Myles Garrett to the Rams for Jared Verse and a first-rounder next year, second-rounder the year after that, and a third-rounder the year after that. So the picks are spread out over 3 years, but you do get a first, second, and third. And I think it's huge to get a first-round pick next year. It's supposed to be one of the strongest drafts in quite a while, maybe one of the strongest in the last 20 years. And it should be a very good quarterback draft because they've got to get a quarterback. Now, is Jared Verse better than Myles Garrett? Absolutely not. No one's going to argue that. He might have a better power move, but that's about it. Myles Garrett's better at every other aspect. But the fact that they got a really good edge rusher, maybe not elite like Myles Garrett, but a really good edge rusher, Jared Verse, and those picks, it makes trading Myles Garrett a lot easier. Because you can't get value in the draft for a future Hall of Famer like Myles Garrett. I talked about that when Micah Parsons was traded from the Cowboys to the Packers. I said the Packers are going to win this trade because you cannot get value, at least in the draft, for an elite edge rusher, one of the best in the NFL, like Micah Parsons, like Myles Garrett. But if you get a very good player back, once again, not on the level of Garrett, but still a very good player, and the draft picks, then maybe you did win the trade. And I was surprised how many people on X favored the Browns in this trade. And clearly, the Rams are going for it. They're all in on this year. So this trade makes sense for both teams. And I think Andrew Berry played this really well. He could have traded Myles Garrett pretty much at any point. He got him signed long term and just waited. Waited till he got the best offer possible. And I think this was. And kudos for getting Jared Verse, who's under control for 3 more years. So really good job, Andrew Berry. Can't believe I'm saying that. I'm giving praise for Andrew Berry throughout this entire video. 2 years ago, I was trashing him. Anyway, bottom line, the Browns need to lose as many games as possible. Pick in the top 3. Get one of the quarterbacks coming out next year because you have to have a quarterback to win in the NFL. Shedeur Sanders is not it. Deshaun Watson is terrible. Dylan Gabriel looks like a wasted 3rd-round pick. So they have to get a quarterback next year. And you can't count on using the Rams pick to move up. Because why would teams move back when there's all these good quarterbacks in next year's draft? And it's going to be a late 1st-round pick. So you can't count on that, although I really like the fact that they do have 2 1st-round picks. The Jets, though, have 3, so they have more ammunition to move up. And one more thing I want to mention, the division's tough. The other 3 teams, Steelers, Ravens, and Bengals, all expect to make the playoffs. So you're probably going to be last again. There's no reason the Browns should try to win this year. Because if you win, say, 7 or 8 games, and you're picking 10th, 11th, 12th, something like that, then you're not going to get one of the best quarterbacks in the draft. And as we know, the Browns have to get a franchise quarterback. So let me know in the comments down below, which of these moves do you think will impact the Browns season the most? If you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up. Really helps out the channel. Me and Mike, we do the Lights Out podcast every Tuesday night, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. So make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you do not miss it. Share this with anyone who loves football. Once again, I cover all 32 teams on this channel, and please give me your video ideas in the comments down below. Check out these videos on the screen if you have not. One is breaking down every draft of the AFC North. The other is my instant reaction to the Myles Garrett trade to the Rams. And I will see you in the next video.